Hello, everyone, and welcome to a tour around Pax Dei. The game is still in early access, so a lot of the stuff may change depending on when you're watching this video, but this is, according to the developer, late in early access. They're hoping to release within a few months. We'll talk about that as we take a look around some of the cool builds of the game, because right now, as the game loads in, we'll get to see one of the major highlights of this game, and that is the building system. And I'm going to take you around sacrifices, bridge build, and cathedral and everything. This is my clan, so got a bit to show off here, and there are some other really epic builds, but the guys that did this build did a tremendous job. So as you can see, we'll get the outside look. I'll give you an overview of everything, and I hope you enjoy. We'll talk about some things along the way. The game is a good-looking game as far as everything to be concerned. We'll start up here from the edge. If you haven't played it, I will say it's gotten better over time. It is rather resource hungry. We're gonna have to run so we don't die here. I don't feel like fighting, but we're just gonna head down and check out some of the builds here. As we come up, this is all the same land here. I am getting a little bit of stuttering as we come in to it. The way they have to do a couple of performance things to really make this game run because I'm not running on a super budget rig, but as you can see, there is some screen tearing at times. It is very VRAM heavy. I'm looking at what I'm using right now. Obviously, I'm recording this, but I'm still using 10.2 gigabytes of VRAM, so it is rather resource heavy. As you can see, it's a good looking game, and this is the Sacrifice bridge build. And it's not just a bridge, it's a full town on a bridge. As we come in, we got our houses set up here as we go through. Our market stalls. As you can see, there is an underside to the bridge as well. As we come on through, get a view of some of the cathedral down below and our little boat that we built here as well. Big shout out to the builders of this. It took an incredible amount of time. I'm not a builder when it comes to setting everything up. I enjoy the crafting in this game. Specifically, Salicus, my character, is the clan's baker. So I did the majority of the baking and a lot of the tailoring that you can see. Now we are in the interior of the bridge as we check out some of the definitely the cool lighting effects. The bridge has a number of levels as we go down. That is an interesting blue light that we have. I guess you're seeing some of the water from down beneath, but as you can see, there's a number of levels to this bridge. It is not just a little cross the river type thing. We decided to go about doing something like this when we wanted to do a flat build. And due to the constraints of the developer not being able to remove a lot of the vegetation or terraform the land itself, you're stuck kind of having to use water as your build. We'll head down and we'll see we actually have some of the actual furnaces used as support in here, so they're kind of hidden. You don't see them much in the build itself. But this is the underside and the mid side of the bridge. Very cool build. We do have some upper level floors as I move around. Like I said, I'm getting some performance issues, which is odd because I don't normally have some of them. You can see a little bit of screen tear and some blurring, but it could just be that I haven't updated some setting or something. But there is the cathedral across the way. Like I said, the game is rather resource heavy, and I do worry about um, how well this is going to perform. We got all our beehives, all of our fermenters, and everything. Everybody is still plugging away at the game, even though we are kind of late in this. Which they say is going to be the last wipe for early access. I don't totally believe that to be the is going to be the case because I think they have too much still. They want to release later this year in the fall, which we're getting to fall here rather rapidly. So I think they have a lot to do still. You see our little boat that we built over here. It's kind of stuck in here, but it could actually sail out, um, physically fit. It can't fit under the bridge, but we'll get here to our cathedral, our little church area that we have. We did run into a plot issue, which if you're not familiar with the way that Pax Day works, you get plots that you can build on, and they snap together to build, a full area if you're doing it on a major build. Now, the problem we ran into is we started it, we had a number of people come and go, and as we were moving plots around to try and keep the area, we ended up with a hole. And inside of this hole is you can't build anything because it's not considered any of the plots. So we built a little jump off tower where you can jump off and suicide yourself, a sacrificial hole, as we would say to the build. But we're going to go in and we're going to take a look at the church. Now, I honestly have not been in here for a little while, so we'll get to see. I know they're still working on it, and as they are, you can still see they're still got some stuff going on the side, but rather nice build, a lot of detail being put in, a lot of resources dumped into building this type of stuff. I mean, we gathered for months, and that was being able to keep all of the resources from the last reset. So you can imagine on a fresh build, this is a tremendous amount of work. Takes a large number of people to do this type of stuff because you don't get a whole lot of this stuff in the game. I mean, a lot of this stuff is made to work. A lot of overlapping of materials to get the look that you want. Just overall, a ton of work by the builders of our stuff here. Let's see if we can get a look at the table here, and get back on the bridge. As I'm making myself dizzy, as we're definitely not liking the move between the bridge and the cathedral. A couple of things that I think the development needs to work on is you could see the way that some of these snap points, this is the underside of things from the interior of the bridge. They just kind of pop through. I think there'll be more flooring as we come about, but I know they're holding stuff back. But so far, what we've seen, they need a lot of work on a number of things. And I think I'll get an example of it. Yes, right here. You will see this little brush poking through the center here. Now, these are trees that are built into the structure. Now, until they can figure out a way to, and if we go down, we might be able to get a good example. I don't have a torch on me, so hopefully they put some lights in here. Yeah, you could see more of the terrain underneath poking through. The developer has not come up to a way of actually getting rid of that terrain, and I think they'll be hard pressed to release the game within a state where that is part of the build. They might, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it really does. This hurts the game. The game's a really pretty game. Everything looks great, but until you can fix that issue right there with plants growing out of the walls, now there are builds, and I will find some to show in some of my videos. There are some builds that work around this very well, and I think our guys actually do a real good job of building up a chance. But stuff like this, I don't believe is acceptable for the game at this point. I don't think you can be ready to release. There's a nice castle out there in the distance. You can see there are lots of cool stuff. There are tons of cool builds in this game. This is just happens to be my clan's build, and we've done a number of really cool builds throughout the resets and everything, and we're still continuing. I mean, we're not done by any stretch. We still have a number of weeks still to go before their planned release, and honestly, I don't think we will see a release for another year. I just don't see it. I don't see how the game is in a optimized state to be able to release now at this point. We'll get a good look at the actual bridge and the size of it. We'll see if we can get down to look kind of into, and you can see there is a ton of resources that went into building this bridge. Absolutely amazing. The guys of Sacrifice, hey, we've done some incredible builds. I wish I would have done some videos of some of them, but this is just another continuation of an amazing build by these guys. This is Pax Day. A number of issues still to go. Early access, so the game is definitely not totally where it needs to be. Uh, they have a lot to add still to this game, but it definitely has the, I think, the idea behind it if they continue with the work there to make it work. This is kind of a medieval Eve online, and if they stay that route, I think that it'll be successful. The problem they're going to run into is that they want to run a subscription plus box price for things. Now, you will be able to, if you buy the game, play without a subscription. You will not get a plot, so you won't get to build anything, which I think is going to hurt them with saying, because that is the major draw to the game currently. The fighting in the game is okay. It's gotten better. The dungeons are okay. There are a lot of issues with pathing. There's a lot of issues with, pulling mobs from upper levels and such and bringing them down onto you that I think need a lot of work. There's still a lot of artwork that needs done. I mean, you can see my cape clipping through the hood on my helmet there. I think that's stuff that needs to be cleaned up. Now, I don't think it doesn't hurt the game. It doesn't kill the game as far as um, immersion wise. I think the game looks great. I think they need to add in more armor sets and more cosmetic building. The crafting is pretty good. At higher levels, it is very time and labor intensive as far as gathering materials. You will need, it's not a short term, hey, you get to build some stuff, craft some things, and you're max level. You're talking months to get to where you need to be, especially if you're starting from scratch without the materials that would take to build a lot of this stuff. All these things need to be fine-tuned by the developer in getting this all together for launch because currently, I think the major issues, they need to add more in crafting. Now, they may have this all done. I think that's a real possibility that they're holding off quite a bit for release of the game. So I know there should be a bunch more building materials and stuff. They need to fix this terrain popping through your builds. I don't know what they need to do to fix it, but I think it's something that definitely needs to be fixed. I don't think you can release in that state. I think that is most definitely a problem. But as we travel back across the bridge, as I'm tripping over the little lights that are placed along the way, at nighttime it looks outstanding. The game has great lighting throughout the nighttime. You can see way off into the distance, and it does have some load-in issues. I noticed as I travel through areas that have a lot of construction now, there is a lot of building. There's a lot of layers of building here, and that's why you see some jumpiness as things load in. But overall, it is a tremendously pretty game. We'll head inside. We'll take a look at, some of the actual houses that people have built. Everything here is 100% built by the player base. There are some NPC structures and stuff, but the real the real layout and everything of this game is to be built by the player base. So everything you see, there was no bridge here. We placed every bit of plots that come across all of these things that you see, the tower up there on the hill, everything has been built by players. So the game is really cool as far as that's concerned of, you know, actually building stuff for the player base. Really cool to see. And very nice to jump back in and see exactly how well the clan is doing. I thank you all for joining me here on this travel around Pax Day, and I will catch you with some more builds here because there are definitely some cool ones available. I will head to them and we'll make some videos. I thank you all, and as always, have a good day.